Title: Unveiling the Cosmic Secrets. The Great Red Planet Revealed. An in-depth analysis. Welcome to our channel, where we embark on a galactic journey to unravel the greatest mysteries of the universe. Today, we delve deep into the enigmatic world of Mars, the red planet, and its recent, fascinating discoveries that have left the scientific community buzzing. Since the Mars rover, Curiosity, touched down on the Martian surface on August 6, 2012, it's traversed about 24 kilometers, performing a myriad of tasks designed to expand our understanding of the red planet. Along with obtaining numerous surface images and high-resolution planetary studies, it has also conducted an in-depth study of the geological composition of Mars. One of the most recent and extraordinary discoveries made by the Mars rover was the detection of rolled clay and sedimentary rocks located in the former lakebed of Cratrea Gael. These findings are significant because they were formed approximately 3.6 billion years ago, a critical period in Mars's history. Clay is crucial because it's often formed from the decay of rocks after contact with water. This means it can provide vital information about potential life forms on Mars. Interestingly, one of the clay samples contained much less clay minerals than expected, but an unusually high content of iron dioxide, the chemical compound responsible for Mars' distinctive red color. Researchers believe that this anomaly is due to the influence of extremely salty water, which once seeped into the layers of clay-rich minerals. This galactic kiss ultimately dispersed the corresponding layers of soil and erased centuries-old traces on the surface of Mars. Before this discovery, scientists were convinced that the structure of clay minerals at the bottom of the former lake in Cratela hadn't changed over 1 million years. Now, however, it's clear that later processes, in some places, destroyed the corresponding minerals and altered the geological appearance. This chemical transformation process in soil deposits is known as diagenesis. While it might have destroyed some hypothetical life forms, it could also have given birth to new ones. This discovery on Mars is not the only one causing excitement among experts. Another recent finding also hints that the heavenly body might not just be a home for dust and stones. The presence of methane on Mars is raising intriguing theories, as this organic compound has a predominantly biological origin on Earth. In 2020, the Mars rover recorded a powerful methane eruption on the red planet, which was 3 times higher than the most powerful at that time. The study of methane on Mars already has a long history. With a spectrometer on board the space probe, Mars Express was able to detect the first traces of methane in the Martian atmosphere over 15 years ago. This discovery confirmed previous measurement data from ground telescopes and caused a scientific stir. As we've mentioned, methane on Earth is mainly formed as a result of biological processes, primarily by special bacteria. The question then arises, are microscopic life forms on Mars responsible for the observed emissions of methane? It seems especially intriguing that the corresponding emissions on Mars are limited in time and location. For example, the Mars rover measured the concentration of 21 methane molecules per billion air molecules in 2019. However, soon after, the share of methane molecules in the air was only 1. On Earth, the corresponding values are about 1,800 methane molecules. Unfortunately, researchers have not yet been able to determine the source of these mysterious eruptions of methane. Therefore, experts cannot say with confidence whether the observed phenomena are due to biological or geological processes. In addition to the influence of microorganisms, it's also possible that methane on Mars is produced by volcanoes, the decomposition of polyparticles, or other geochemical processes. Is life possible on Mars? When we look at Mars today, we see a barren desert planet that is hostile to life. However, looking at all the natural circumstances, there are more and more signs that Mars in the past looked completely different. The measurement results so far suggest that the current, extremely thin, carbon dioxide atmosphere a billion years ago was much denser. In addition, most experts agree that the surface of the planet was once decorated with rich deposits of water in constant liquid form. Therefore, many scientists consider it possible that the red planet can still be a home for extraterrestrial life forms. However, according to the researchers, they would not bear much resemblance to the inhabitants of the planetary Martian, which we regularly see in science fiction films. In fact, these would not be the highest forms of life, but tiny microbes. In addition to the already presented organism that might be responsible for the deposition of methane on Mars, researchers have discovered unusual structures in Martian meteorites, which some scientists interpret as traces left by digging bacteria. However, the rest of the expert world still doubts this theory, as such traces can also form as a result of pure chemical processes. The main problem arising from potential life forms on Mars is earthly pollution. During the study, it cannot be ruled out that potentially found living creatures can actually be of earthly origin. This problem arose in the study of a meteorite found in 1999. Although various amino acids were found on a meteorite that came from Mars, they probably did not have an earthly origin. Based on our ideas, the existence of liquid water is the main building block for the appearance of living creatures. Since today the red planet has only an extremely limited atmosphere, scientists are convinced that at present, liquid water cannot constantly exist on Mars. However, researchers have discovered some signs that the solar rays falling on the Marti and polar ice caps and can lead to the formation of microscopic amounts of water there. However, several billion years ago, the situation was perfect. Due to the dense atmosphere of higher average temperatures of that time, Mars in all likelihood had giant oceans. These galactic seas could cover up to 75% of the planet's surface. However, the extremely high salt content in former Martian oceans raises doubts about whether living creatures also lived in these waters. Nevertheless, there are several microorganisms on our planet, such as halophiles, which thrive in high salt concentrations. Several years ago, experts were again intrigued when the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter sent images to the ground, in which researchers discovered erosiontic ravines that had significantly lengthened over the past 3 years. In fact, the corresponding traces could be associated with the influence of leaking liquid water. Currently, the possible existence of saltwater lakes on the southern polar ice cap of the red planet is also being investigated. The presence of these water bodies indicates data collected by the MARSIS instrument on board the Mars Express spacecraft. The corresponding region will be studied in the framework of future research on Mars. Now it's your turn. What do you think of these exciting discoveries on Mars? Do you believe that the red planet is a home for extraterrestrial life forms? We are waiting for your comments. Please take a look at the video links in the credits to learn more. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you next time. References: 1. Mars Rover, Urios City, https .mars, nasa.gov, MSL Saltor 2. Mars Rover discovers clay and sedimentary rocks. https www.nasa.gov, Marstart feature, Bosch Mars. Rover Yano Curiosity finds clay and sedimentary rocks at Kansas site. 3. Methane on Mars. https nasa.gov, feature Roche Mars. Rover spots mysterious methane. Plumes about 4. Life on Mars. https www.nasa.gov, topics. Mars features Mars habitary. HTML5 halophiles. https www.britannica.com, science more halophile. 6. Evidence of water on Mars. http www.nasa.gov, feature taught first. Signs of water on Mars. 7. Saltwater lakes on Mars. https www.nasa.gov and feature about Mars. Reconnaissance orbiter finds signs of saltwater lakes. 8. MARSIS instrument https www.iso.int our activities space science Mars Express instruments Mars is 9 Mars methane https www.nasa.gov feature Mars Express detects methane on Mars 10 Mars life https www.nasa.gov featured on Mars their life on Mars 11 Mars meteorites https www.nasa.gov featured on Mars meteorites guards hold clues to red planet 12 Mars water https www.nasa.gov featured on NASA on Mars reconnaissance orbiter reveals more evidence of water on Mars 13 Mars polar ice cap https www.nasa.gov feature Mars S polar ice caps hold secrets to planets past and future 14 Mars saltwater lakes https www.nasa.gov feature Mars reconnaissance orbiter finds signs of saltwater lakes 15 Mars rover images https www.nasa.gov multimedia image gallery image feature of NISIX HTML 16 Mars astrobiology https nasa.gov topics Mars features art Mars astrobiology HTML 17 Mars geology https nasa.gov topics Mars features Mars geology HTML 18 Mars climate https nasa.gov topics Mars features Mars climate HTML 19 Mars atmosphere https www.nasa.gov topics Mars features Mars atmosphere HTML 20 Mars surface https www.nasa.gov topics Mars features Mars surface.